All right, welcome to Load the Box. 0-3 edition. Last week was 0-2 edition, and now it's 0-3 edition. We're playing another 0-3 team, the Carolina Panthers, who I think many would have expected this start from them. Rookie quarterback, sort of a lifeless offense, and it's on paper and not a very good team. And so you would imagine that 0-3 is somewhat in the realm of possibility for them. On the flip side, the Vikings are not where many people would have thought. I think, worst case scenario, people were thinking 1-2 with a chance to get to 500 this week. So here's where we sit. It's a road game. The Vikings will get a chance to get in the win column against a team that they probably should beat, but we know how the NFL works. No game is easy. Every team is made up of professionals, and this team has a very specific professional that I think a lot of people are going to be excited to watch, and that's number 19, Adam Thielen. He used to play here, if you've ever heard of him.
I don't think he went to a D1 college, and I don't think he got drafted. If my
I don't
notes
think
are
so.
correct, let me check. Yeah, I think he had to walk on and do special teams, and finally got a shot. And he has a good story. You should look it up. You should look up his road to NFL success. He almost sold dental equipment. Did you? I'm sure.
I did not know that piece of it.
That is an actual piece that he was. Maybe it was either. I think it was dental equipment. I'm gonna stick by dental equipment. And if I'm wrong, it will be the. Will definitely lives west of the Mississippi of this week's show, which coined what should be the slogan of this show: "Load the box, not a geography show." Yeah, man. I mean, Thielen is obviously that's the big one. That's the big revenge game narrative going on. I think they also have Emil Smith-Marset, who is a fun one. Xavier Woods is on this team. And I want to say they signed somebody else that was Vikings adjacent recently, in the last day. And fun to the show, Dustin Bako made a comment about how there could be the foul Vikings playing for Carolina in this game. I will say, speaking to most people had the worst case scenario being a 1-2 Vikings team taking on a probably 0-3 Panthers team, and I think that in my mind it was the worst case scenario. That was the worst case scenario, but I really thought it was going to be a 2-1 team coming in here. But it just sucks that this isn't the game to get us back to 500. You would have liked that, but I like the approach that the Vikings are taking in pre-game speeches, in interviews, things like that, press conferences. They're all they have the same vibe of we need to stop fumbling and we need to go 1-0 against Carolina. That's the new goal. That has to be the mindset. I know we said we were not going to discuss big picture, what we need to do to get back on track. We kind of talked about some of that stuff, but man, I have my keys to victory written down. I do not have no fumbles or no turnovers written down on it. And it's kind of because, excuse my baby in the background, it's kind of because we kind of preached that against Philly, right? And we didn't do it. And so I do have something kind of spicy for my keys to victory that I'm sure we'll get into, but I will let you kick us off. What do the Vikings need to do to get to 1-3 this week, Will?
They need to run the ball again, and it's sort of it's an obvious one, right? Considering how much they focused on the run last week. They started the game with 5 effective runs at that, and very clearly trying to get the running game going, mostly with Alexander Mattison. But I will say that I would not be surprised at all if there are 3 running backs who get touches on Sunday. You would imagine that Madison will start, but I know that Cam Akers now, according to O'Connell, is most likely, he's going to get some run. It's not necessarily 10 plus snaps or anything, but I would expect to see him on the field. And Ty Chandler was quick and shifty and made some good runs on Sunday against the the Chargers. And so I would expect all three of those guys to get in there. And I would like to see, and I think, almost expect to see a little bit more of the running back by committee approach that I think we were all sort of expecting this year. I think we all knew that, okay, Alex Madison sort of has he has the reins, if you will, to be the running back one and to, it's his job to lose. But I don't think anybody was expecting sort of okay, now it's just Madison replacing Cook. And I think now after a few weeks of, somewhat roller coastery running game, some of that's Madison's fault, some of it's not. I think having different looks from the running back will help. And I think that will probably be one thing that they start with. And the reason why I, bring in this whole idea of A, running back by committee, B, running the ball more is thus far, Carolina has allowed 130 or more rushing yards in every game this year. And so there's a weakness to exploit. And I think the Vikings need to take it seriously to do that and, get that marriage of the run and the pass a little bit closer.
Yeah, that was the first thing that I wrote down when I sat down to do notes for this game. It was, I wrote down Madison and Akers and Chandler, oh my, because I do think that the expectation, and let's go pre-week one, not in training camp, not, because I'm not going to talk about Wong Wu and, his injury and everything, but like, I expected, let's say there's 25 touches for the running backs in a game, or 25 rushing attempts in a game. I was expecting Madison to be like 15 of those, maybe 12 of those, and then Ty Chandler to be like 10, and then Myles Gaskin to have like 2 or 3 kind of just sprinkled in. And I know that math probably didn't add up, but you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
And now I would expect it, the way that the running game has looked, I would expect it to be like Madison, again, I'm going off of 25, Madison 10, Akers 10, and Chandler 5. At least that's what I hope, because I don't think at any point when Ty Chandler ran the ball, I did not think, why are we wasting our time? It felt like he was running physical. It felt like he was running through some tackles. Wasn't letting guys arm tackle him, which is, when Ty Chandler's kind of a speedy guy. He's not Adrian Peterson or like Garrett Blunt, he's not this big physically imposing back. So I expected, maybe not Ty Chandler to have that. Grammar's terrible. I didn't expect Ty Chandler to have the physicality that it looked like he kind of ran with, combining that with the speed. So I would still like to see him get 5 or 6 rushing attempts. Maybe it's even 2-3 rushing attempts and 2 or 3 screens. Yeah. But I want to see the Vikings get all 3 of them going, because why did the Rams hate Cam Akers so much? Was it I know he had a fumble problem, which is he's on the right team for someone who has a fumbling problem. But do you know why they hated Cam Akers? Do you have any inside baseball, whatever it is? Why did they hate them? Well,
it's a great question. I don't know. I haven't done enough research on this. I think there's the fumbles. I think there's also, he had some injuries. That's obviously not like okay, you're injured, therefore you're out of our good graces. But I think that hurt his ability to sort of stay in the rotation. And then when you do drop the ball twice in the playoffs, that really, you fall out of favor much more quickly than if it was, one in week 3 and one in week 10. And so there's, I think those 2 things are what come to mind, but I don't know anything else outside of that. I don't think there was any glaring, team rules broken or any sort of infighting or anything like that. I think it just sort of, for whatever reason, it didn't work out fit wise.
And I believe
I don't know
it
if you
came
know more, but
no, I don't. But it's crazy to me, because I think the details of the trade came through. It was so the Vikings got Cam Akers and a 7th, and the Rams got a conditional 6th, and the draft picks were 3 years from now. If Cam Akers doesn't get to 500 yards, I'm pretty sure that conditional 6th is a 7th. So it's basically just swapping 7ths, and we get a running back out of it. So I spent a lot of, the show early on the week poo-pooing on Kwesi and, really letting my Kwesi hate shine through. That was a good deal. This is a good deal that he's made. I
Absolutely.
don't think you can debate that one way or the other. Cam Akers, it's not Jonathan Taylor that we're getting, but it's a guy who
No.
can come in, be a contributing back in a committee system, in a passing first offense that really should be doing a bulk of its work through the air. My first key to victory, and it's the one with the big gold star next to it. The Vikings need to, and this is so vague. This is so vague. I apologize in advance. The Vikings need to make the plays to win the game. No red zone turnovers, no deflected passes, balls that go through your hand that turn into interceptions, no dropped interceptions that bounce off your head and go directly into the other guy's hands in the end zone. None of that. We just can't have it. And I know that you say, well, that one was just a bad bounce, the interception, but it's a bad bounce that you should have just caught. And if Caleb Evans just catches that ball, it's a different ball game. If Justin Jefferson doesn't fumble out of the end zone, we probably win that game. And so we've picked it apart in every post game show, the exact moment that it felt like the Vikings died on the field. And I think that you need to execute on those plays. When you have an opportunity to change the game, to win the game, you need to make that play. And I'm hoping the Vikings just kind of handle Carolina, who hasn't looked very good, especially with Bryce Young under center. Andy Dalton has more passing yards in one game than Bryce Young amassed in 2 games. So you need to. I would like to see the Vikings win this game going away, but it kind of seems like that's not the Vikings' MO. So the Vikings we need to be able to come on, on Sunday night or Monday night or whenever we record the post-game show. We need to be able to say, this is the moment that we won the game. This is the play. This is who made the play. This is who executed at a high level. And so that is my biggest key. Is it really just boils down to Vikings, don't shoot yourself in the foot, and you should come away with a victory in this one. Let's stay on this. What do the Vikings need to do to win?
It's so wild that we've said this basically 3 weeks in a row now. It's basically don't beat yourself and you'll win. Some other things that I think it's sort of goes without saying it, and then I think a lot of what happens for the Vikings defensively, or a lot of what happens for the Vikings defensively will depend on who's playing quarterback. I think, like you said, Bryce Young missed last week with an ankle injury. Now, he was a full participant in practice on Wednesday, which is when we're recording this, Wednesday night. And so, in my mind, you can expect him to play. If you're looking at it strictly from Andy Dalton has played better in one game. Andy Dalton's a veteran. Andy Dalton has won in this league, at least to some degree. You would, if you're trying to win, if you're Carolina, you put Dalton out there. But that's clearly not what the Panthers are trying to do this year. Not that they're trying to lose games, but they are trying to get their rookie number 1 overall pick a bunch of run and get him all the live bullets and all the reps. That's the point of this season for him and for them. And so if he's healthy, he's going to play. And so a full participant in the first practice of the week tells me he's probably going to play.
All reports coming out of Carolina, by the way, because I actually did some research into this before the show. All reports coming out of that Bryce Young is playing. Those, unless he has a setback, somebody trips and falls into his ankle, he's on. He's going.
Yeah. But I would say, regardless of who's playing quarterback, keep your eyes on and make sure Adam Thielen does not beat you. And not from the perspective of he's going to get behind you and he's going to, tear you up for 200 yards like Keenan Allen did. But with Adam Thielen, it's savviness, it's veteranness, it's finding the holes, it's extending plays, it's continuing his route to the very end. It's just all these little things that made him so good in Minnesota. And, he's obviously not quicker and faster than he was last year, but he's just as smart. He's just as wily. He's their leading receiver through 3 games, and I don't think it's very close. He also has the most targets of anybody, and again, it's not very close. So it's clear that whoever's playing quarterback for them likes him as their security blanket. So keeping an eye on where Adam Thielen is and making sure that you don't let him just sit in the middle of the zone and get 9 to 13 yard gains repeatedly is going to be really important.
I think that a big thing, and you touched on this in the post game for the Chargers earlier this week, talking about if you're going to blitz, you can't just let Justin Herbert throw the ball 5-6 yards and that tone and basically just gash you, death by 1,000 cuts, whatever you want to call it. And I think the Panthers are going to watch that tape and say, okay, that's how they're playing defense. Bryce, here's what you need to do: throw quick slants all day long, and we'll live and die by them. So the Cardinals definitely need to play a little bit more press, aggressive, jump routes, that kind of a thing. And I hate to say this about one of my all-time favorite Vikings in Adam Thielen. I think you can get away with a little bit of cheating inside and cheating underneath with Adam Thielen at this stage of his career. He's definitely lost a step, maybe 2. And so you can assume it's a slant, and if it's a sluggo like Mike Williams ran, that would have been a walk-in touchdown. That one was a little egregious. That one was, you would have thought Byron Murphy saw the ball coming and jumped on it the way he was so aggressive on it. But you can play press on Thielen, assume he's going inside, and if he just runs straight, I trust any of our defensive backs, maybe not Harrison Smith, but any of our defensive backs to be able to run with, catch up to him and make a play on the ball. But that's something that Thielen is still... Go ahead.
Finish your thought.
It's something that Thielen, I'm assuming, is still good at. Is we've seen him how many times over the years did we see Adam Thielen go up in a one-on-one contested catch situation and just embarrass a defender? There was one where it was a true Randy Moss highlight catch over the Saints, where it was over the back, take it away, just that whole thing. So I said it last week about Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, saying you have to play the ball, not the receiver, because if you just play the receiver, they're going to embarrass you. We didn't get mossed all over the field, but the Chargers threw it just about as much as they wanted to against us. So we can't let Thielen have his moment against the Vikings, have his I told you so moment. Caitlin Thielen was right. I should have been more involved on offense. You shouldn't have gotten Jordan Addison instead of me. So that's I love that take. Adam Thielen needs to be contained.
I just quick aside, and then I'm going to ask you a question. If you need an excuse to watch Adam Thielen highlights, use this week as an excuse to go watch like 2017 to 2019 Adam Thielen highlights, because I think we forget what he was like at the peak of his powers. In that like 4 year window, he was elite.
Yeah.
And I think we forget that because it seemed like it's sort of, his peak was quick and then he declined pretty quickly.
Because most of his prime was spent trying to block punts and, being a punt gunner and climbing the ranks until he became truly elite. And I hate to say this because, I don't have this... I do have a deep-rooted hatred for the Saints, but now that Sean Payton's getting beat by 50 in Denver and the defensive coordinator, whose name is Greg...
Dennis Allen.
No, not Dennis... Greg Williams.
Greg Williams.
Now, and Greg Williams is coaching in the USFL's, developmental league or whatever. The hatred for the Saints has died down a little bit in my head, but it felt like every time we played the Saints, and it was like peak of the F the Saints. I used to tell people I hate the Packers, and then I hate the Saints, and then it's the Lions and Bears, because the Saints will just... Now it's the Eagles, but... It felt like every time we played the Saints, it was Thielen, man. It was the playoff game. He had the deep catch. It was 2017. Exactly. Pui miracle. He's getting mugged. He's getting assaulted on the field, and he's coming down with a one-handed catch, in the breadbasket. Go watch Adam Thielen highlights. Go do it.
That Moss catch that you referenced, that was week 1 against the Saints, I think, that year in Monday Night Football. The start of a season that I don't think anybody saw coming. Sam Bradford was still playing quarterback at that point. So,
was it
yeah,
Kyle Rudolph recently that said if Sam Bradford played all of 2017, the Vikings would have won the Super Bowl?
Man, maybe. I didn't see that quote
It was
directly.
someone from the 2017 team, and I'm like 99% sure it was Kyle Rudolph who said
That's
if we
wild.
had Sam Bradford, because I think he called him Sammy, and that was
Sammy.
odd. But he was like, yeah, if Sammy played, all games that season, we would have won the Super Bowl. And it's like, well, if I had $1 million,
Maybe.
I wouldn't stress about money, Evo. That's a big if to ask.
The question I was going to ask you, and you referencing the Eagles, was the perfect segue. You mentioned that week 3 against Los Angeles, the Vikings played a lot of heavy pressure, sort of mid to deep shell against that, and it sort of just didn't work, like we talked about on Monday. But then against Philadelphia, they would generally bring like 3, maybe 4, and then drop 8. And you could tell Jalen Hurts was uncomfortable most of that game. It led to the running game sort of going off for them. But, and I know there's extremes in between, and Brian Flores is a lot smarter than we are. But if would imagine preparing for this game against a rookie quarterback, against a team that isn't great offensively, but maybe if they had to have a strength, it'd probably be the run game. How do you think the Vikings would go out with or come out with their game plan? Would it be more similar to Los Angeles or more similar to Philly?
I think it would be most similar to Los Angeles, and it's specifically because I think what you did against LA with a couple of minor tweaks, I think it would work really well against a guy who's making his 3rd NFL start. And granted, it's in Carolina, so it's not like, you're going to have U.S. Bank rocking and getting him all shaking in his boots and seeing ghosts a la Sam Darnold or anything. But I think that blitzing him is going to be crucial. And that's actually one of the notes that I had ready for this was, it was one, get your hands up, because he is, 5'10" on his tall days. Yep. So you need to get your hands up and deflect some passes. Don't just let him throw, make him throw the ball with touch and hopefully make a couple mistakes and float a few balls and that kind of a thing. But I just think that when we face young quarterbacks, the game plan should be make them uncomfortable, knock them off their spot. And I don't think he has, again, this is just me taking a dump all over Adam Thielen. I don't think he has the receiving talent to abuse us the way that the Chargers did. I mean, you look at the Chargers and it's Keenan Allen, who had a massive day. It's Mike Williams. I'm sure the Chargers fans probably think they have one of the best wide receiver duos in the NFL. Then you have Josh Palmer and Quentin Johnston, who really didn't get any run, but Josh Palmer did. And he had a pretty solid day against the Vikings, especially after Mike Williams went out. And so the Chargers offense is the strength of their team. And so with Carolina, I don't think you can say the run game is their strength, but the pass game show isn't it either. I don't think they have a strength on offense. No. And I was kind of trying to dig something up to talk about, because it's an NFL team, right? They have a way to beat you, because they could beat you very easily. Not very easily, but they could beat you. You see, the Colts just beat Baltimore is the example that I'll use. Yeah. On the road, yeah. And so what I have written down involves kind of the running game. Miles Sanders is their 2nd leading receiver. It is Thielen, and then it's the running back. So that means, to me, they're checking it down a lot. They're getting him in space with the screen game, and they're trying to manufacture the run game by doing quick stuff with the running back. The Vikings better be able, and I said I was going to say this a couple of weeks ago, last week with Austin Eckler. I was afraid of what he would be able to do in the screen game. If the Vikings are going to blitz as much as they have this season, you better, Mekhi Blackman better be ready to come up and make a tackle on Miles Sanders, because if he doesn't, it might be a house call, because everybody else is, laying in the backfield trying to get to Bryce Young. So that's kind of my opinion on it. I do think that it's going to be, to answer your question, it's going to be a lot of blitzing. I don't think you're going to see a lot of guys stand back and just playing coverage. But I do think that there's the potential with the Vikings blitzing now for them to say, okay, well, we have Miles Sanders. He's a competent receiving back, kind of a do-it-all kind of guy, and we're gonna let him just tear you up. You can't let Miles Sanders look like McCaffrey out there. He's Miles Sanders, and that's not a knock on him, but he's Miles Sanders. So let's contain him in the passing game, and I think we have a big thing for success. Another one I have, and I want to say it at the same time I don't want to say it because it's so obvious. Did you know that we didn't target Justin Jefferson until like 2 minutes to go in the first quarter against the Chargers?
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
Get the ball to him like soon if we can. I don't get him in motion, do a pop pass. I want to see Justin Jefferson like first drive, first set of downs. I want to see Justin Jefferson get a touch in some way. And there was something I noticed last year that we didn't do a ton of, but we did enough to make me say, why don't we do it more? We should line Justin Jefferson up at the running back position.
Absolutely.
Sometimes, especially like in shotgun looks. We should go to running back, quotation marks, running backs, Madison or whoever it is on one side and JJ on the other, and let chaos ensue. I think that there needs to be some more creativity. It's tough for me to say Jefferson's not getting his. He had, over 150 yards and then 149 in the Chargers game, so he didn't break that record of whatever it was, but it was like he would have been the first receiver to start each game with 150 or more yards, but he had 149, so he might as well have gotten it. He's dominating right now, to put it lightly. I would still like to see us get more creative with him because it's crazy. He's getting 150 yards a game. Yeah. It still feels like there are plays to be had with Justin Jefferson in this offense. So it just speaks to how great he is. But that's something that I would really like to see. What else do we have with the Panthers?
Well, I've got one more key to victory, and then I'm ready to go towards game balls and stuff. My last key to victory is start Dalton Risner. I noted on Sunday against the Chargers after Ed Ingram allowed a sack or something. It was just like, all right, this is Ed Ingram's last start this season. It just has to be, barring injury. Having him in there for a few snaps a game, if you're going like a jumbo goal line look or something like that, whatever, that's fine. But it's time to start Dalton Risner, and he is getting first team reps this week. And so he's going to have about a week and a half with the playbook. It's time to go. I would like to see that. I also think it's going to happen. Kevin O'Connell tends.
Well, we lost Will. I'm sure we will get him back shortly. I agree with what Will's saying here with starting Dalton Risner. I don't know where he was going with the Kevin O'Connell tidbit. Will, do we got you back? No, we will get Will back in a second.
I think you lost me.
Yeah, we lost you. You're still frozen. So if you can hear me, let me just really quickly just say my piece with Dalton Risner while we stabilize out the connection. It is not a load the box without a little bit of technical difficulties. It looks like you're back now if you want to continue on back. That. The last thing that we got was Kevin O'Connell and then frozen and all that.
Yeah, so he likes to be kind of cryptic in his press conferences. Doesn't like to share too much of like specific details on who's playing, whatever. But when he said that Dalton Risner is getting first team reps this week, it was just pretty clear to me that, okay, I think he's starting. I would be shocked, honestly, if he doesn't. So that's a key to victory for me. Kirk Cousins leads the NFL in getting hit over 10 a game. It's not even close. Last season, he got hit like 84 times or something. He is on a breakneck pace to break that by about week 9 this year. So put the better pass blocking offensive guard in there.
I think what they should do is on passing plays, they should put Risner in, and on running plays, they should put Ingram in, and they should do this for like 2 weeks. And then against Green Bay, put Ingram in and do a play action and watch the entire defense bite. Just, you want to talk about an automatic 7 points. that's how you do it. More realistically, I agree with everything you said. I think you said it beautifully. I don't even know, and this is what's sad, I don't know that just Dalton Risner alone fixes Kirk Cousins getting hit so much.
No.
I mean, hopefully it does. You know, the offensive line is weird, and I've said this before, but it's one of those positions where if you have, because the Vikings have, two really good tackles. So if you have two really good tackles, it can help the guards because they can help tell you who to block and how to do things. And I think there's gonna be some, I don't want to say rust, but there's gonna be a learning curve of, there was that infamous play last week where Ed Ingram, the Chargers rushed 3, and Ed Ingram is just standing in space, and he's like, where do I go? What do I do? He's just standing there. Nothing, he doesn't touch a single guy on the play. And I think that there's going to be some of that for Dalton Risner. Maybe not to that extent, but there's going to be some, I thought you guys were double teaming this guy and I was supposed to get this guy, and that's my fault. I was supposed to help Bradbury with a double team, and I forgot about it. So I went off in space, and Bradbury got bulldozed. And so it'll get smoothed out, give it a couple of weeks of live bullets flying and all of that.
Yep.
And I think that it'll be okay. But I still have concerns about Ezra Cleveland and Garrett Bradbury, to be frank. I mean, neither one of them are strengths, I would say. So hopefully Dalton Risner, at least, maybe Cousins can be the second most hit quarterback in the league.
That'd be nice.
I think Sam Howell is getting hammered in Washington right now. So we maybe have a chance for Cousins to not be the most sacked quarterback. He's been sacked 19 times in 3 games.
It's wild. It's a bigger conversation for another day, but I mean part of what, gets him hit so much is that the Vikings run a lot of like developing downfield routes. And they're an explosive offense. They're not trying to just dink and dunk down the field. They're trying to score in, 6 plays rather than 16. And so that's part of it. But at the same time, you don't want to take away a strength. You don't want to be like, okay, Kirk, we're going to protect you by just, doing quick game all day, because that's not what they do well, or not, at least not what they do best. So anyway, that's a much longer, different discussion, but it's not all the offensive line, but it's much the offensive line.
Yeah, no, I mean, the offensive line stinks, and I've said that many times, and I'll continue to say it. I don't like the scheme that we run. I won't go on a big rant like I did on Tuesday night, but all right, let's get into game balls and skull predictions. I have this one. I do this thing where whenever I start getting comfortable, I lean back, and it makes me sound like I'm really far away, so I need to stop doing that and stay close to my microphone. I have Danielle Hunter getting my defensive game ball in this one. I think he is going to eat against Bryce Young on Sunday, and I do think that there's going to be a lot of pressure, but the Panthers' offensive line isn't great, and I think that there's going to be some, hey, well, the Vikings are showing a blitz, you block him, and then Danielle Hunter's going to get a couple of free looks, I think. And I almost went with pace because, shockingly, I've had 2. This is my second defensive game ball. I haven't picked pace yet to win the game ball, so I'm almost tempted to switch it to Ivan Pace getting 3 sacks because he, just comes off on a blitz or something. I'm going to go with Danielle Hunter. I'm going to go with a big name. So far, my game balls this year were Hawkinson, Blackman, Kirk, and Hunter. And so Blackman was kind of my, I'm going to really go out on a limb here. And other than that, I've stayed with the guys who, you know their name and number. They're not like Josh Dobbs, unable to buy the jersey in the pro shop, which I don't know if you saw that, but that was hilarious. I have the Vikings losing
He's
this
starting
game.
Quarterback here, people.
Yeah, he just beat the Cowboys for you, and he goes into the team shop and he's like, I'm not even on here. My name's not on here, and it was too much. But yeah, I have the Vikings losing this game. For an odd reason, I really thought they were going to win all 3 games that they have lost so far. And I have the same feeling about this one, that the Vikings should win this one. I thought we should win by 3 possessions against Tampa Bay. And it wasn't any disrespect to Tampa Bay. It was how highly I thought of the Vikings. And against Philly, I said, I think the Vikings are going to have a fire. They're not going to turn the ball over so much. And then they lost. I had them winning that one by a field goal. They lost by foul, was it? Yeah, foul. Can't read my own handwriting. And then against the Chargers, I said, look, the Chargers defense stinks. We're going to run the ball. We're going to put some pressure on Justin Herbert. They don't have Austin Eckler. We're going to win that one by 11. Nope, didn't happen. We lost that one too. So this one, I'm going to say Hunter gets the game ball. I would love to be wrong. I have the same feeling about this game. We should win this game by 17 points. And I just feel like something funky is going to happen. I'm leaning into it now. I'm leaning into the...
Wow.
It's not the tank job. It's not any of that. It is, I'm confident the Vikings should win this game if they play clean football. So I guarantee Cam Akers is putting it on the ground 3 times. Each running back's going to fumble once and Jefferson's going to, throw an interception. Something funky is going to happen. And Tuesday night I'm going to come on and I'm going to say, hey, this was the play that ended the Vikings season at 0-4. So I'm going to go with them losing in this one.
Wow. What's the score?
27-24. When I was picking it, I was like missed field goal. We haven't had the missed field goal yet, right? So how about a missed Greg Joseph field goal to really just twist the knife in our backs?
This is going to be the absolute reverse of last year. Lose all these 1-score games, and they're going to have a positive point differential at the end of the season, and they're going to win like 7 games.
We're going to beat somebody we're going to dolphin somebody, and we're going to end up with like a +9 point differential. But we're going to, like you said, we're going to be 0-11 in 1-score games. We're going to be a 5-win team.
So I have a very different take on this game. Basically, I'm just, sticking with how I feel about it. To you, it's like you got to go against the feeling. To me, it's okay, stick with the feeling. I don't think the Panthers are a great team. I think the Vikings have enough pride to just not let this keep happening. And good defensive coordinators make rookie quarterbacks' days hell. And I would expect Brian Flores to make Bryce Young just super uncomfortable. It's not that the Vikings have elite talent on defense. I think everyone knows that. But you can scheme and make a rookie quarterback uncomfortable by what you do to him. And so I expect that. I expect the Vikings to win 31-16.
Oh.
I normally do not pick double-digit 2-possession wins. It's just not what I normally do with this team because it's just they always stay in these 1-score games. But I think finally, for the first time since, I don't know, can't even remember the last 1-score or 2-score win they had, frankly. I guess it was Chicago last year, week 18. But yeah, it's going to be a not comfortable because no NFL game is really comfortable when it ends up being 2-score, but it's never going to be a game that you're going to rely on a game-winning drive. So Vikings win 31-16. My game ball is a little bit of a wild card. It's Cam Akers. He's going to play his first game. He's not going to start. I think we'd all be shocked if that happened, but he's going to play. He's going to get some carries. He's going to get some touches. He's going to get his opportunity to show for the first time what he has. And I think he's going to score a touchdown. And part of that is because the Panthers lead the league in missed tackles. And that matters for a team that's trying to get going in the run game. And if you have a guy like Cam Akers, who's a lot shiftier, a lot quicker than Alexander Mattison presents, Madison's a more downhill physical running back. Akers, although he does have some power, he's definitely more close. He's closer to Ty Chandler, in my opinion. He's going to make some people miss. He's going to score, and sort of the obvious first game with the team, first victory of the season. you're going to give the new guy who scores a touchdown a game ball. So that's my prediction. Cam Akers making his name known in Minnesota.
I really hope that you are correct. I say this so we've had some 7-9 seasons on this show, quite a few of them since Kirk Cousins has shown up, and so we've had some tough one-score losses that we've discussed, and there's been some frustrations that have boiled over into some hot takes and some rants and whatever you want to call it. I always say when I'm being negative, I don't want to be correct. I want the team to prove me wrong. But you have 3 games where you have done everything in your power to not win. And so I want to be wrong, and I want them to not fumble. I want, this whole O'Connell's preaching, hold on to the ball until you get up off of the ground and hand it to the referee. Don't throw it hand it to the ref and let the referee, someone in a striped shirt, take the ball from you willingly. And so I hope that, this all works, and I hope the fumbles go away, and I hope, the weird tips in a receiver's hand. Kirk Cousins, in my opinion, still does not have a pick in this season. And he's leading the league in, passing yards. And he's playing like the best quarterback in the league. And I would never, no matter what medications or illicit drugs I was on, say Kirk Cousins is number 1. But I am confident right now, 3 games into the season, saying that Kirk Cousins is a top, I almost said 3. I'm going to go 5. I'm going to say he's the 5th best quarterback in the NFL right now. He's playing out of his mind because he has to. And big props to him. I want to be wrong about the negativity that I've spewed on this show this week. I want to be proven wrong, and I want to come on next week gung-ho about beating the Chiefs. Really quick update, and I'm going to have to quick math here. The way that we are tracking our score predictions, there's really no way to track a game ball because it's opinionated and whatnot. Your game balls went Hicks, Madison, Bynum, and now Akers, just for public record. I do think it is worth pointing out you have a commanding lead in the I'm kind of just doing like the score prediction, but it really doesn't matter how much you say each team gets. It's the difference between them that I'm tracking. And so I am negative. So I was off by 20 points because we lost by 3 and I had us winning by 17. So you see how it works. So 24, 39. I am negative 42. Negative 42, and you are 11, 19. Oh, wait, no. I'm negative 39. I'm sorry. I counted this week us losing by 3. I read the wrong thing. That's my fault. I'm negative 39, and you are negative 19. So... So
when the Vikings win by 15 this week, that lead is going to even be more commanding, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you'll stay at negative 19, and I will go to whatever. I'll go to 47 or 57 on the year. So hopefully the Vikings win by 1, and then I get to come back. But like I said, I want them to win by 70. Because that would be really good. I don't think we talked about this on the show last week. No Jalen Waddle. This is my final thoughts, by the way, and then I'll let Will take us out. No Jalen Waddle and Sean Payton got pummeled 70-20. We really should have just, after talking all of that crap about Nathaniel Hackett, you get what you deserve. I do not like Sean Payton even a little bit. I didn't like him on Fox. I would listen to Colin Cowherd pretty regularly. Wouldn't listen to the Sean Payton tidbits because I didn't value what he had to say football-wise. Just have no interest in listening to the guy talk. There's a Denver Broncos fan. I do think I talked about him. I told you about him. It's called That's Good Spouts. He doesn't need the plug. He's massive. Denver Broncos fan already calling for Sean Payton's job. Beautiful. Love it. Love it. Give me more of it. I want them to lose by 100 next week. Other than that, make sure you shop Unified. Follow Will on Twitter at WillBadLose. Check out the Bad Loser blog. And, of course, check out VikingsTerritory.com. Subscribe to the YouTube and make sure to subscribe to whatever podcasting app you get the show on if you're listening and not watching. Just check out. Make sure that you're getting notified, or it's at least showing up in your library when we post the new show. And other than that, I mean, yeah, let's go. We need one. We need one right now. We could really use about 3 in a row. We'll see what we can do, but I will pass it off to you, and then the next time you see me, I'll either be very, very happy, or I will probably be in a Columbus Blue Jackets jersey because it's hockey season. So we'll see how Sunday goes.
It's funny, the saying around Minnesota. I saw it on a T-shirt at the Mall of America last weekend. It was hilarious. That was like, just one before I die, and it's referencing the Super Bowl. Purple Daily talks about it on their show, I think every day, and Jordan's just saying, just get us one win. We're not even talking Super Bowls. We're just talking one win at this point.
Yeah, I really am. I just want one win before and the games have been, last season, here I go again, having 18 final takes, but the games last season, people joked that like Vikings fans were developing Hout conditions because they were so close and down to the wire. They're still close and down to the wire. We're just losing them now. So like per Hout, I don't take care of my body, people. I'm not going to make it long if we don't get a win soon. This could be it.
My final thoughts. One, just quick stat correction. This is not to call out Jordan. It's just to make sure that we are correct with our statisticianing. Kirk Cousins has only been sacked 8 times. I just quick checked it. I think the 19 were the first 2 weeks he had 19 hits.
If I said that was Cousins, that was my fault. Sam Howell has been hit.
Has
been sacked 19 times through.
You're probably
games.
Right.
That is, yeah, okay. That was my fault. If I said Cousins,
okay, I might have misheard you. So either way, one of us was wrong. Anyway, Kirk's only been sacked 8 times. Still not great, but it's not the worst. My last final thought is more of just a clarification from earlier in the show when we couldn't remember which Viking worked out for the team this week. It was Kellen Mond. He worked out for the Panthers, and wouldn't that be something if he saw the field somehow on Sunday? I'd be shocked if he did. I don't even know if he's on the roster yet. That would probably require a couple injuries, which no one's hoping for, but it would be wild if Kellen Mond was out there in the fourth quarter of a blowout or something and slinging the ball to Amir Smith-Marset. So hopefully, though, from the Vikings perspective, we do have a blowout in the fourth quarter, and the Vikings will be on to their first victory. With this team, you can never expect blowouts, though. It'll probably be a one-score game, and we'll probably come back here a few years older on Monday. This is Will and Jordan Load the Box. We'll see you next week. Skol, y'all.